Tools for web crawling.
What is a web crawler? The process or program used by search engines to download pages from the web for later processing by a search engine that will index the downloaded pages to provide fast searches. Or we can say it is a program or an automated script which browses the World Wide Web in a methodical, automated manner. It is also known as a web spider and a web robot. Less used names for web crawler are ants, bots, and worms. Why a web crawler is required? Internet has a wide expanse of information, so finding relevant information requires an efficient mechanism. That mechanism is provided by the web crawler, and the web crawler provides that scope to the search engine. Now here we see how a web crawler, Googlebot, which is used for the search engine Google, provides an efficient mechanism for finding the web pages. Here we type the keyword web crawling in the search box, then it shows the various results, the number of the results and the time taken. Now let's get through the architecture of a web crawler. Here are the basic components of the architecture of a web crawler and their functions. URL frontier. It contains the URLs yet to be fetched in the current crawl. At first, a seed set is stored in URL frontier and the crawler begins by taking a URL from the seed set. DNS. Domain name service resolution. Look up IP address for domain names. Fetch. Generally use the HTTP protocol to fetch the URL. Parse. The page is parsed, text, images, videos and etc. and links are extracted. Content seen. Test whether a web page with the same content has already been seen at another URL. Need to develop a way to measure the fingerprint of a web page. URL filter will check whether the extracted URL should be excluded from the frontier, that is robots.txt. URL should be normalized, that is relative coding. Next, the URL is checked for duplicate elimination. Let's see how a web crawler works. It starts with a list of URLs to visit called the seeds. As the crawler visits these URLs, it identifies all the hyperlinks in the page and adds them to the list of visited URLs called the crawl frontier. URLs from the frontier, that is crawl frontier, are recursively visited according to a set of policies. There are certain policies which are defined for a web crawler. First one is selection policy that states which pages to download. Second, revisit policy that states when to check for changes to the pages. Third, politeness policy that states how to avoid overloading websites. And last one, parallelization policy that states how to coordinate distributed web crawlers.
Distributed web crawling, a distributed computing technique whereby search engines employ many computers to index the internet via web crawling. The idea is to spread out the required resources of computation and bandwidth to many computers and networks. Types of distributed web crawling. First one is dynamic assignment and the other one is static assignment. Dynamic assignment. With this, a central server assigns new URLs to different crawlers dynamically. This allows the central server dynamically balance the load of each crawler. Static assignment. Here, a fixed rule is stated from the beginning of the crawl that defines how to assign new URLs to the crawlers. Focused crawler. A focused crawler ideally would like to download only web pages that are relevant to a particular topic and avoid downloading all others. It assumes that some labeled examples of relevant and not relevant pages are available. Robots. The indexes of crawler-based search engines are fed data by computer programs called robots. When a robot visits a website, it does one of two things. It looks for the robots.txt file and the robots meta tag to see the rules that have been set forth. or it begins to index the web pages on your site. Now let's see some examples of web crawler. Yahoo Slab, Yahoo Search Crawler, MSN Bot, Microsoft's Bing Web Crawler, Google Bot, Google's Web Crawler, used to build the first publicly available full-text index of a subset of the web. World Wide Web Worm, used to build a simple index of document titles and URLs. Web Fountain, distributed modular crawler written in C++. Slug, semantic web crawler. Let me explain you one of the web crawlers. Let's take Googlebot for the example. Google's process, for instance, takes 2 steps. Googlebot is the actual robot that traverses the website. It fetches the pages and sends them to the indexer. The indexer sorts through every word on the page and stores them in a database. Here is the snapshot of Googlebot, which is Google's web crawler. You can see here the URL tab where you can specify a URL, and below it is the tab of comments where you can enter the comment or keyword about the content of your page.
Now we will see how do we use wget command in order to download the title page from some domain name. First of all, we make a new directory at a desktop by changing the directory to desktop. Then mkdir, we name the directory as a crawl where we will store our title page. Now we enter this new made folder crawl. Then using the wget command, getting the syntax wget http, then your domain name, for example yahoo.com. Then we will download title page of this yahoo.com. Then we check in this folder the file name index.html is created. We open it in the browser. As you can see, it displays a title page.
Let us get more familiar with the wget commands. Here we are specifying 2 options for wget, -p and -k. -p, it downloads all the files that are necessary to properly display a given HTML page. -k, after download is complete, convert the links in documents to make them suitable for local viewing. For further reference, you can view the man page of wget command.
Now we will use wget command in order to download the entire contents of a particular domain. The basic syntax for this is wget -r. R will turn on the recursive retrieving. Then -l. L specifies the depth level of recursion. Now here we set the depth level 0. Then http, your domain name. Here I am taking yahoo.com. It is downloading the entire contents. Opening crawl directory. As you can see, a new directory named yahoo.com has been created and contains the entire contents.
Now let's talk about utility softwares for web crawler. Here we will be using web email extractor. Let me create a new project. Here we can see many options like generate search engine URL, browse, generate, add from file, set search parameter. Let's go to browse. Here we can see many options like Facebook, Gmail. Now let's see what happens when I click on one. Here I can see my web page is open. Now let's close it and go to generate search engine URL. Let the search engine be Yahoo, keyword to be crawl. Now let's limit our results to 10, language to be English of course. Domains are like .com, .edu, .org, etc. I will go with any domain. Click OK, then click next. I can see up left my pages level 0, maximum crawling depth to 2, crawling order to be depth first crawling, and click again on next. Let's save my file on desktop in the folder crawls. Okay, then click on finish. I can see here my list of web tasks: browser 1, browser 2, browser 3, ID, email addresses, link tags, page URL, page title, starting URL. Now let's see what happens when I play. See, it has been started, and I can see my web pages on my browser. It is clearly going through it. Execution records are displayed here. Executed records, downloaded, elapsed time. My email address is also here. After this execution, I will get a message from the software that my execution has been completed. See, that's what I have got. Now, since my project has been completed, I can close it and check whether it has been saved or not. Save changes to searches. Yes, I can see on my folder desktop crawls, I have my search yahoo.com, which was chosen by me. Now see, I can clearly see my email addresses, link tags, page URL, page titles, etc. So my project has been accomplished. Now, one exercise for the viewers. Implement the diagram of a web crawler on the basis of your own understanding. What is the function of crawler? How does the crawler knows if it can crawl and index data from website? Explain. What is robots.txt? Explain difference between crawler and focused crawler. Try to search the keywords from different web crawlers.